What up, guys? We are reaching the end of 2023. Where has the time gone? Don't ask me. And I'm going to do a favor to you, me, and everyone else and give a top 10 list of, I guess, my opinion of the best PSVR2 games of the year. The PlayStation VR2 came out February of 2023. A lot of games came out, being upgraded for the VR2, already out for the Quest and whatnot. Some games have been enhanced for the VR1. A lot haven't, which I'll never forgive PlayStation for fucking us like that. But I feel like there's a lot of different lists and a lot of different viewpoints on the top 10 games, and I'm sure mine will be controversial as well with how games get marked and whatnot. I feel like with the top 7 or so games, at least in my opinion, it was a pretty easy list to create. And then, the final 3, or the top 7, 8, 9, or 8, 9, and 10 were, kind of a toss in the air, which a person you would enjoy. So the way I'm going to break down my list, going down from 10 to the top 1 game I'd probably recommend overall, will be the first 3 games will be what I would say is a more universal type of recommendation to play it safe. Obviously, it could change depending on the person, but if you want to do something that is just something that you should probably have in your library as a PSVR2 owner, I would put these ones there. And then these are also going to be ones that people typically will show their friends to. It's kind of like the novelty to impress them and, show them a good graphic game and what a PSVR 2 can do with the power behind it and the OLED screens and all that fun, jazzy, good, fun, twisting the nip types of stuff you can see. And then I'll kind of adjust to the kind of must-haves in the sense of graphically. And then, the final few will be ones I just feel like have to be said are the top, at least in my consideration. If you're thinking about trying to get a last minute gift and you're not sure what to do, I feel like this is the list I would go with to do it. So let's start. So first off, for number 10, we have to start off with Beat Saber. Of course, this is the go-to game, upgraded for the VR2 from the VR1. This, is a must-have game. This is the one that you show somebody when they originally got a PlayStation VR and you first saw it, you're like, this is dope. Is this real? And no, it is real. This is pretty cool. And when you show a friend for the first time that's never tried VR, this is the thing that hooks them on it. So that's the first one, and they always have constant updates, so that's it. And then we move on to my number 8, which will be Star Wars, or number 9, sorry, Tales from the Galaxy's Edge. This is an improved game. This was a tough one to kind of pick up, but this game is $50 on the high end because it has, great graphics, great looks. It has, lightsabers, everything you can kind of ask for a Star Wars game with a full story mode as well. So if you're looking for something that's a guaranteed thing that you'll enjoy in your list with good graphics, you can't go wrong with this game. And now we'll move on to number 8. It is Horizon Call of the Wild. Again, this one should be higher. It's a shame that I have to have this as number 8. It is a beautiful game. It is stunning to look at. It has a lot of great mechanics, and it really uses the PSVR 2 haptic feedbacks and all that fun shit to the max. And there's a really impressive things all around in this game. But it is a glorified demo, almost pretty much. It's only a few hours long. It really is a shame that they didn't go all out with a full-on game, like they really should. It has everything you want, but it's not a full game. That's all we can really say about it. So that's why it's not higher on the list. Now we'll move down to what am I on? 7 now, I think. 7? We'll say 7. Arizona Sunshine 2. It's the most newest game on the list. It just came out December 5th or whatever. 7th, 5th or 7th. You get a dog buddy. You get a fucking... You can play this whole story mode co-op with a friend. The graphics are very good for the VR2, so if you want a game that looks good, has good gun handling, and you can play it all with a buddy, you can't go wrong with this one. Just came out. But since it is, like I said in my recent review, not smooth around the edges yet and doesn't look amazing, they use a lot of empty space and don't fully take it to advantage of what we're using. They could have tried a little bit harder, and it's very apparent when you play this game. That's why it's not higher on the list, even so it's one of the newer ones. Now we will move on to, I think I'm on 6, and it is, I put it as a combo of The Walking Dead Saints and Sinners 1 and 2 because they were enhanced. The first one was enhanced, and they're typically sold together. You can get both for $40, and this is a great example of a fantastic game that you could really feel was made for the VR2. Every control, everything was handcrafted for VR. The way that you hold guns, the way that you can feel the weight behind them, the way that you grab the flashlight and use bows and craft, and it really is a full-on VR game, and I respect that. And OLED never looked better on this game. Any game with shadows and darkness that you have a flashlight is where you're gonna see amazing VR2 to the thing. It's a great thing. Get it if you can. This is the game to get when it comes to a game that they really tried, and it's a good bang for your buck. And it comes, like I said, with both of them, fantastic deal overall. Now we'll move on to, I keep losing my list. I think we're on 5, 4. The farther we go, I'll get to 1. So follow me. And we are on PAVLOV. There's a few games that come to mind when I think of, VR games to recommend. Like Crossfire came to mind and Firewall Ultra, but both of those have unfortunately not hit the goal that I wanted them to hit. That PAVLOV truly is the Call of Duty multiplayer game for VR2. It has good graphics all around, and it has an impressive multiplayer list that is really everything you can ask for when it comes to playing multiplayer and first-person shooter. Gun game, one in the chamber, team deathmatch, free-for-all. It even has a zombie mode. There is just a lot in this game, and the gunplay and the way you reload is super well done. So if you're going to get a Call of Duty-ish type style game, and you'll only have one choice, PAVLOV is, fortunately the one to go with. Like I said, I wish Crossfire or Firewall Ultra pushed it out of the way when they came out, since they are newer, but PAVLOV holds strong. So now we are number 4. Yes, we are number 4, and that is Resident Evil 4 Remake. This one also just came out as well. It has been adapted a few times. Obviously, there's like the enhanced version that came out a long time ago, just a normal one, and then they made the Resident Evil 4 VR, which was just the enhanced version in VR. And then earlier this year, they came out with the remake, which is not in VR. And then beautiful Capcom, thank you so much. They gave us a free update. If you already own Resident Evil 4, you now can play it, the whole game in VR. They do it right. Capcom is the number one when it comes to doing VR and the people correctly. They give you a great game, a great AAA game, and they give you it in, or as a remake terrifically, and then they craft the whole thing done in VR, and they give it to you for free. It's a fantastic game. It looks amazing. It looks exactly like Resident Evil Village. I mean, maybe they made it at the same time just because that just came out, and they could just swap the whole type of setting, which was, a village setting. So this is a must-have. If you're gonna own a VR2 PlayStation, you should get this for it. These final games are the main meat and potatoes of, if you don't have these games, you're missing out on seeing truly what the VR 2 can do. And you'll see a common trend with these last ones, which is, there's no beating a AAA game that's fantastic when it's not in VR. These games are normal games that they've converted into VR. And like I say, that's the first step. If you can play a AAA game normally and love it, it's only going to be that much better in VR. These games do it, starting with Resident Evil Remake. Now we'll move on to the next one. Again, a normal game that got converted and now is in full VR, and it's all the better for it. And that is No Man's Sky. No Man's Sky, was a huge controversy, slapped everyone in the face for miles, and different galaxies slapped in the face in 2016 when they promised, countless universes and galaxies and full-size planets and shit to do and gun battles and fucking flying and asteroids and fucking sex and building and everything. And then everyone was mad when, for some reason that completely absurd fucking thing wasn't existent. But they kept trying. Years later has passed, and here we are. They've essentially gone to where we wanted to be. You now have a fucking, 1,000-hour game with, again, gun battles, spaceships, loot, full-size planets, billions of fucking galaxies, and it's all in VR. It's all in VR. I mean, what more can you ask for? The graphics are pretty decent as well. Especially, when you think about the VR concept of it, you can play it all normally in 2D also, and that still looks great. I mean, what more can you say? That you can travel through a whole galaxy and build a house, on any planet you find, and it's all in VR. A fantastic game. Definitely worth getting to your library if you don't have it. Now we're moving to the top 2. How can you have a top 10 list in VR without Gran Turismo 7? Again, follow the trends. It is a full AAA game that has been completely 100% converted into VR. I'm not a fan traditionally of racing games. I could care less, I guess, would really be it. It's just not a big thing to me. But this game is impressive in every sense of the word. Just like No Man's Sky, they constantly update it. And the thing that makes this truly impressive is that not only is this whole game in VR, not only do the graphics rival modern graphics of today of 4K high def, realistic cars, and not only can you sit in these cars, and they have a full-on virtual reality version where you could, go to a showroom and sit in the car and see the interiors, and they're fully developed for how the game looks and how the car should look in the inside. But they have, I believe, over 400 cars, different cars that you can see from the inside out and race, each with their own mechanics and everything. I mean, and they're constantly updating and providing new cars to the list. It's never ending. They deserve it. If every update I've seen has been free so far. There's not many discounts I've seen on this game. It's usually always full price. If there is a discount, I would definitely snag it because you don't deserve the discount. It's definitely worth its price because it does give you so much, but it does go on sale, once in a blue moon. If you can snag this game for $35, I think it's a $50 game, in VR, which doesn't happen much. And if you can snag it for like $35, it's gonna be quite the steal. And now we'll move on to the number 1 game. Surprise, surprise! If you didn't see it coming, I don't know what you thought it was, but it is Resident Evil 8 Village. Again, the main trend when it comes to, what's going to be a must-have game when it comes to PSVR2, and that's when a game is terrific when it's not in VR, and it's even better because they've enhanced it into VR. This game is fun, exciting, beautiful graphics. Everything is completely fun about this game if it was not in VR, and it's only enhanced by the fact that you can play the whole game in VR. The graphics don't take a hit, the gameplay doesn't take a hit, everything is perfectly connected in this game. Now, why does this one get number 1? when Resident Evil 4 Remake gets number 4, it's not because there's a graphical difference between Resident Evil 8 Village and Resident Evil 4. Like I said, they look exactly the same. The only difference is that Resident Evil 8 Village, because it's newer, they have fully adapted the VR in every mechanic of the game when it comes to the weapons, grabbing things on the ground, opening drawers. Everything has been perfectly built into the VR, which is even something they didn't fully do with Resident Evil 7 for the PSVR1, where they didn't connect it with the VR controllers or the Move controllers for the PlayStation VR1. You had to still use a controller back then. And they did a great job with Resident Evil 4 Remake in the fact that they added, the guns and everything, knife and all hold. But there's still a lot of things in Resident Evil 4 Remake that to climb a ladder, one of the simplest things you should be able to do in VR, you have to hit X and you just see a third-person view of your guy climbing a ladder. Or they do a roundhouse kick in third person, you hit X. Some things that should have been transferred over. And Village, everything is in VR. It's built for it, ground up. And that's why it's number 1. Village is the definition of a game that is AAA that has been handcrafted and put into VR. This is the standard. This is what, everyone should strive for. A game that's great as it is, and then they made it into VR, and it's perfectly made into it. If everything could be like Village, we'd have a pretty sweet VR reality we'd be living in, guys. Let's all hope for it one day. So, that's my top 10 list. I hope that helps. Some honorable mentions would be like Hubris, perhaps. Red Matter 2 is a nice looking game, but rather boring. Switchback VR is always good. Vampire is also a new game and Hellsweeper is also a game that I've been enjoying a lot lately, as well as Synapse. But when it comes to the top 10, those are the games. I hope this helps someone on their Christmas list, and I hope you guys agree. If you don't agree, or I missed something, let me know. I'd love to hear it. Later, guys.